So we went on a date.
We did.
We actually didn't have a gig on Saturday.
Together. I just wanted to be clear.
Well, it would have been dates if we hadn't gone together, right?
You're right, and I'm wrong. So anyway,
I know you always like to talk about all your other girls.
So we did. We went on a lovely date.
Yeah, because we don't spend enough time together. At least
it's
not
been
alone.
Rough. We've been very busy. Yeah.
Actually, we have been busy. Like, you get up late and then you go to the studio, so I barely see you in the morning. I'm already working by the time you get up, so I'm all in my stuff.
Yeah.
And then you leave, and then you come home late, and I'm like ready for bed.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, yeah. So we went to a French place, and we ate what I'm going to call French enchiladas.
Which, when you made that observation, it was so mind-blowing to me that it didn't even make me laugh. It was so funny that, like, I just couldn't even, I was just like, oh my God, that is completely a French enchilada.
Crepes are French enchiladas. You just put some stuff in the middle, you roll it up in your starch thing,
and you pour
put
sauce
on top.
Yeah, it's a French enchilada.
And then we were trying to figure out what other cuisines have a thing that's like food rolled up in a starch with sauce on top. And I don't think we came up with very many. We
did not.
A lot of cuisines have food that's like enclosed in starch. Like you've got pierogies and you've got calzone and you've got pasties.
And you got pot pie.
Pot pie. And you got Pop-Tarts.
And you got Pop-Tarts.
We were trying to think of the American one, and I'm
Which is America's
Pop-Tarts?
contribution. The Pop-Tart.
But, yeah.
Yeah. It's, yeah.
So crepes. French enchiladas.
French enchiladas.
It was really good. Where did we go? Bon Ami?
Bon Ami.
Yeah.
Wash Park area. Really great. Really great. Boy, didn't we get the cutest table, too? We were, like, all the way in the back, and there's this little lamp and just this little tiny two-person
that you wanted
table.
me to steal. You're like, I'll stand up on the tables and distract him. You take that lamp and take it home for our kitchen. Like this, it's like this French glass. Oh, what's the style called?
Oh, I don't know, but
it's got a style. Tiffany.
Stained glass. Oh, Tiffany.
I think it's a Tiffany lamp with like all the stained glass. Because right now, well, we need a new light for the kitchen.
Yeah.
Not a floor lamp.
Right.
Anyway.
And I thought I could provide an excellent diversion with some of the stand-up material we've been working on.
Right.
Because in addition to French enchiladas, we've been talking a lot about food shapes.
Yeah. I've been eating a lot of round foods lately.
And we've determined that round foods are the healthiest foods.
Yeah. I mean, oranges, tomatoes, grapes, waffles.
The other day you were eating waffles, veggie sausage patties, round, blueberries, round.
Yeah, so I got waffles, veggie sausage patties, and the blueberries all on the same plate.
And you had oatmeal, which is also tiny round things.
Little, almost round things. Yeah. And I went to lunch. We thought about it when I went to lunch one day. I took my lunch to the studio, and it was cherry tomatoes and grapes. And I think maybe some leftover falafel.
Or something.
I can't remember what the main thing was, but it was everything I took was round.
Yeah.
And then we were observing that the least healthy foods are triangles.
Triangle food, least healthy food.
Chips, right?
Tortilla chips, pizza slices, pie, cake.
Brie, if you slice a piece of brie like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so triangle.
You said pie, okay.
So, you want to eat round, not triangle.
Yeah. And sushi is round, cylindrical, you were saying.
Sushi,
right?
also a round food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Square foods, there's not that many.
Let's see. Well, there's like crackers. So they're medium.
Medium.
I had one of those, what are those buns that you got at Costco?
Ciabatta.
Like the square ciabatta buns. I had a sandwich on one of those tonight. So, it's kind of a lot of carbs, but it's not too much sugar.
Yeah. Wendy's hamburgers, square.
Right.
Yeah. So squares in the middle.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I guess you could put hamburgers in the round category, and that's not super healthy.
That's true.
And then there's line food, spaghetti, linguine. That depends on what kind of shapeless food you put on top of it.
Right. Because you also have shapeless foods: spaghetti sauce, salsa, yogurt,
soup. Although you could call it round because you put it in a bowl.
Well, that's true. But you're forcing roundness on these shapeless foods.
Yeah, these are the things we talk about over dinner.
So, sorry to subject you to our conversation.
We just got home from a gig, I guess, for a little.
Yeah, a little. We literally just walked in the door from a gig at the Pace Center in Parker.
Arts and Cultural Event. No, Parker Arts and Cultural Event Center. That's what it is, the Pace Center.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful place.
Amazing facility. I was bummed that I kind of wasn't in the mood and we didn't have time. But they had some art hanging and they had a bunch of different, art studios and stuff all around the back when we got let in the back.
You didn't have time to look at the building more or what?
Yeah, just walk around the building and check it out. Yeah.
It's big inside.
Yeah, it really is. Phenomenal place. Wonderful, wonderful staff. And boy, that crowd.
We knew they were hot when the lady introducing us walked on stage and they cheered for her.
Yeah.
And we're like, it's going to be a good night.
And it really was. I would say that was one of the hotter, more engaged, really paying attention crowds that we've had in quite a while. I mean, some of the city festivals and stuff lately have been amazing, but this was people were paying attention, they were focused. So what was the room? Like you said, it's a seated room. It wasn't a dancing room, open floor. It was a seated theater, and very steep, so that even the people in the back were sort of
they weren't that far.
If not, and they had a really great view of. So people were just really engaged. I mean, they were cheering really small things.
Oh yeah, I mean, big-ish notes. There was random hoots and hollers in the middle of songs.
Oh yeah.
Half the room was standing a third of the time.
Right.
People were getting up and dancing. They were arms in the air, and I mean, for a theater show, that's unusual. Because there's not a place to dance except right, in the row that you're seated in.
Right.
So that show was great.
And gosh, if you get a chance to see something there that you would like to see, I would recommend seeing it there. That is a great room to see a show, or do a show.
Yeah.
What was your favorite moment?
She probably didn't get caught on mic, but she has an opinion about her favorite moment. Actually, she's an opinion about the schedule for dinner is on the late side here.
Yeah, we're a little.
My favorite moment. I guess maybe it's a tie between the acoustic opener of American Girl that we did for the second time ever tonight,
which seemed to go great.
Yeah, and I had a lot of fun talking about Dreams. The intro to Dreams.
You were basically doing crowd work. I mean, you weren't going back and forth with people, but you were that was really open and intimate and just talking, sharing.
Yeah, I mean, for Dreams, the intro is the same idea each time lately. I mean, since I stumbled on this idea, it's been the same idea, but I try not to say the same sentences every time. I try to think of a slightly different angle or entry point for the story.
Right.
And so this time I was just thinking my intro, instead of being we had this cassette tape box, road trip, blah, I gave this thing to my dad, I started thinking actually, what I haven't said yet, and what I was intending to and I didn't say, was these days, kids growing up don't have a first album they bought. I mean, some do, but a lot of people... That's
something I haven't thought of, yeah.
A lot of people don't have that memory of the first physical piece of music they bought.
Wow. Yeah.
And for me, I still remember the first cassette tape I bought and the first record I bought and the first CD I bought because they were big decisions. They were I'm so excited.
Remember we were talking about that with Stax backstage somewhere. How it used to be you'd go to you'd spend 3 hours in the record store trying to decide
by just looking at them.
What am I going to spend my $10 on?
Yeah.
By just looking at the backs of CDs.
So, this time I told the audience what my first of each of those things were. And then I said, and the first album I gave away was, there we are.
And then Rumors, you got into
Yeah. So that was fun because it was very much made up in the moment. And that always feels good for it to be a real thing that, a conversation, like the way we do this podcast.
Right.
I mean, we might have a clue what we're going to talk about, but we don't really know. This is obviously a real conversation.
Were you thinking Jeep was going to get a response?
No,
It just came out twice.
Came out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I meant to. I was interested.
I mean, it is Douglas County, so Jeep might have done well, but
right.
I didn't like.
You weren't punching it.
I didn't punch Jeep.
Yeah.
I just passed over Jeep.
I was talking to an AD client, artist development client in New York this week. Really interesting singer, actress, has a big show coming up in Bermuda or Bahamas or something. Anyway, and I was explaining to her that talk you give. Oh, I was actually talking about the one you often do before Gypsy, and how you modify it based on the crowd.
Oh,
and that like if you're doing the thing. If you're giving the whole speech for Gypsy is about looking back on those parts of your life when you're young and you're coming up and you don't have anything and, but you're young and free and everything's crazy. And you're talking about that. And when we do shows in California, you'll mention that you went to Stanford and that gets
or just, college in California.
College in California. Yeah. But when we're in Colorado, you don't necessarily mention California because that's not. Yeah. We're not in California. Yeah. Or you just add details and kind of tweak it.
You know that when we play in Florida, I'm going to be like, and I moved to Florida, and I lived in Orlando, and
it's just funny
I'll get
how
a little more detail on Florida when we play there.
Yeah, it's funny how you can take something that you do the same way all the time, and that's what I was explaining to the artist development. Is you have this story that like the underlying story is this emotional moment or this just moment in your life, and everybody has these same moments in their life. Just graduated college, just really starting your adult life. Everybody has had that moment, whether they went to college or not, but just really starting your adult life. But you can kind of tweak it based on, where you are, where the song is in the set, like how emotional do you make it, how not. It's just kind of a... It's kind
of like thinking of the audience like a person you're talking to. If you're having a conversation one-on-one, you'll say different things depending on what you know about the person and what their interests are, where they come from. So it's kind of the same thing. Speaking of moments, we're trying some different things with the Petty Nicks set list lately. We've had the same intro block for a while, the same outro block for a while, and the same kind of journey through the set for a while. And so we've been trying to tweak things without breaking what we've built. And it's so interesting how the smallest change of taking a song that's always been in the outro block and moving it to middle of the set, that like there's a cascading series of dependencies that go on with that. It's not just like, let's just move this song up here. Well, moving this song up here means that now Julian has 3 songs in a row where he's supposed to talk in the middle of the song.
Right.
And that doesn't make sense. So we talked right before the show. He's like, could you talk during the 3rd song? Because I'm already going to have talked twice and it doesn't make sense. There's nothing new to say.
Right.
And then, we have like the way we end certain songs is appropriate only for like end of set or end of night. And so like if we move that song down because we move that song there, then like all of a sudden that song is song number 2 in the set and it's too big for that place. It's like it's this series of changes. It's not like you can't just like write a bunch of songs and be like, that's what we're going to do tonight, because we've polished it so much that everything changes.
A good set is like a house of cards.
Yeah.
Where it's all dependent, it's all building on top of each other.
Yeah.
And if you start switching stuff around, like all of a sudden maybe, it.
And it didn't really become so apparent to me until we started doing this, because I'd gotten in the habit of like, I always talk here, I always go off stage here, I've got time to change this thing here, and then with a couple of changes, it's like, I'm wearing the wrong shawl, or I was supposed to talk here, but I don't know what to say.
Right.
Or I didn't get a chance to say this thing because now there's not a space there. It's just, it's interesting.
That's the hardest thing of any set is where are the moments.
Right. And to be clear, a moment is not a song.
No, not at all.
A moment could be more than one song, or it could be a part of a song. Or a song could not have a moment at all. It's just a song that you play. Here's one of the reasons tributes are so popular is a lot of the songs have moments in them for people because they're classic songs.
Right.
So you don't have to work to create moments because the song...
They're built in.
They're built into people's hearts already.
Right. And you know, great producers have, you know, the songs are just really well put together.
Yeah. That's actually been a challenge, trying to find ways to break open the petty songs, which I've been trying to, you know, I've been trying to find ways to rejuvenate the set list and do things a little differently without breaking it.
Because they're so tightly arranged.
The petty songs are just like...
perfectly arranged.
They are just all wrapped up with a bow. There's
Yeah.
no place to like rip it open without kind of ruining the song that I've found so far. I'm sure there's a way we can do it. I mean, we did something with American Girl, but I went through everything last week and nothing obvious came to mind for petty songs. I did come up with a new intro for Gold Dust Woman that we're going to try next time.
Yeah, and I've thought about stretching some solos, like just doubling up. You know, Refugee has an organ solo that's very short. That could be twice as long. But on the other hand, does that add anything to the show? Is that a moment, or is it just like a...
let's do a longer solo.
Yeah, it's
or
not
another
really
solo.
anything. It's
sometimes I could... If it's already a sort of a moment, then making it a bigger moment, great.
Yeah.
But if it's not a moment, then making it twice as long is not going to make it a moment.
Right.
Right? Yeah, I think.
Yeah. So let's see. Soil Dove.
Oh yeah, we played Soil Dove with Cody.
Yeah, and then Pace Center.
And Pace Center, yeah, and then went on a date. And then you have been doing some mastering.
Yeah, so we're mastering a record right now, and gosh, what a process that is. So, what mastering is to give you a rundown of the whole process. First thing you do is you record all your music, all the individual parts, which I'm a music producer during the day, and you record all the parts, and then you mix them, which is balancing all of the parts in the song, like how loud the vocal is and whatever. And then mastering is when you've got all 5 or 10 songs or whatever is going to go on an EP. And the mastering job is to take those mixes and make all the mixes sound similar.
Like they belong on the same album.
Like they belong on the same album. Like so that if you were listening to the whole album, you don't have to adjust your treble or your bass on your stereo, and you don't have to adjust the volume because one song's way louder than another and another song's quieter. And boy, is it somehow just always a process. Like, always it is. You know, certain mixes fall apart and certain things... We're getting there. But boy, I just have... Mastering is the...
You think you're done
part.
with the album and you're like, I'm just going to send it to mastering, like, just wrap it up, and then you get it back and you're like, wow, this sounds worse than...
Then when I send it, yeah.
I mean, not always, but...
I mean, not always. And really, mastering engineers can really take something... You know, they can't take something bad and turn it into something good, but they can take something silver and really turn it into gold. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've been going back and forth, man, and the amount of time I've spent dealing with mastering issues is just crazy. I think I've told you the story. There was an album I worked on. There was a big budget album, and we sent it off for mastering and got it back, and we're like, what? And this was like going to all the biggest mastering guys. Speaking of looking at CDs and CD stores, all the names you would see, you know, I won't name any names, but like the literal biggest names. And those big mastering engineers, the way they work is it's $5-10 grand for them to master an album, and that's it. They send it back to you, and that's it. And if you don't like it, you can pay them
to do it again.
Or you can go to somebody else. And on this particular album, it went to mastering 7 times. A couple times with like the same people, and then a couple times with a bunch of different people. So this was an album that like literally like 40 grand-ish on just like mastering.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, in the music business, the budgets just used to be pretty out of control. Anyway, so mastering a record.
A couple recently, right?
Yeah, right. There's been quite a few. Headed back into the studio with Ipecac. They're gonna do a full EP this fall, so that's gonna be fun. Mm-hmm.
And we are gonna finally release the single that we've been talking about since like June.
We got it coming. Yeah.
I finally prepared the vocals and got them over to Justin today, and he says he has time to mix it. And
So
I have the music video pretty much done. The only thing I need to check, though, is because we changed those lyrics. I need to check that the music video doesn't have me singing the wrong lyrics at the wrong time. So I might have to do some editing.
But the lyrics are so much better this way that we might have to find a way to...
I can work around it.
Yeah. So that's what you get when we do a podcast the moment we walk in the door from the show.
Yeah, we haven't even unloaded the car yet.
Yeah, gonna unload the car. What's coming up for you?
Well, we're going to see Phoenix tomorrow night.
Phoenix, one of our favorite bands.
Yeah.
This will be our second time seeing them.
Mm-hmm. We're seeing a lot more concerts than normal this year, which is
We
fun.
really are, because we have Phoenix and then Foles.
Foles is coming up.
Yeah.
We're going to see Maria Bamford, comedy.
Yeah, that's...
I think on Friday or something next week. It's coming up sometime
the
soon.
week after.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've got the doubleheader in with Petty Nicks next weekend.
gosh,
so
that's
we've
right.
got a gig, a private party of some sort in Salida, and then we book it to Colorado Springs, and we have the Boot Barn.
Yeah.
That's going to be a long day.
It's going to be a long day. But it's going to be fun.
Yeah. And I water skied today.
I can't believe you're still doing that.
It was really nice. You know, the sun makes all the difference. The other week I skied, and it was the water was 59 or so. The air was 60 or so, but it was cloudy. That was way too cold.
Yeah.
Today the water was still, it was 56. The air was maybe 50. So the sum of the temperatures was way lower, but it was sunny out.
But
and it was comfortable with a wetsuit. I mean, I'm wearing a full wetsuit.
Yeah. But out here at altitude, the sun really does. The radiation
It's
of it
worth
is,
like 20 degrees.
Really it is.
Yeah, we're going to put the boat away in less than 2 weeks. So getting near the end of the season. Then a month of trail running and then snow skiing. Yay.
But we've been having the nicest fall weather. It's been just, leaves starting to change. It's been a nice time.
Yeah.
We've got a weird cat.
She's really into us. She just learned that it's warmer to sleep under the covers with me.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think she's a little cooler. Maybe she doesn't have her winter coat yet, and it's been a little chilly. And I just, usually she sleeps on my chest on top of the covers. And a couple nights ago, I just lifted up the side, and she was like, "Oh, what's that under there?" And she went under, and she circled around, and her head popped out, and she was like, "I think I'll stay here." And she slept like half the night there next to me. So cute. Crazy little cat.
Well,
right.
we may not hit 30 minutes this week, but that is
okay.
fine.
Less editing for me.
Yeah, and you're welcome, audience.
What do you have coming up next week? Probably same stuff I do.
Yeah, gonna get that mastering thing sorted, and then some gigs, and...
The usual.
Lots of artist development stuff. Gonna start doing some songwriting with Eric Golden. Mm-hmm. Eric has worked up a even more country version of an old No Address song, so that might wind up making...
way.
Yeah. There was a song that I was like... No Address, my old band, was definitely a rock band, but we were very Americana and all over the map, and we did some stuff that was pretty country, but it was punky country, and Eric's doing a more faithful version of the song.
And so he's moving into more originals in general.
He's starting to do originals. That's really the next step for him.
Yeah.
Eric does 200 gigs a year.
Jeez.
I think this year his plan is, if he does all the gigs he has in the books, he'll hit 237 this year.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Dude.
Eric works.
Yeah. Wow.
Eric works. But the next step for him is getting into some original stuff. I mean, that's just the like, you he could easily keep doing what he's doing, but, you know, an ambitious guy.
Yeah.
So we're going to do some songwriting and see where that goes.
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
Very cool. All right. Well, let's stop dilly-dallying and end this thing.
Let's just
cut it right here.
Let's just cut it right here.
Boom. Done.
Boom. Bang.
Bye.
Bye. Still going. Still going.